You're listening to the Unreasonable Fridays Podcast Network.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Welcome to another episode of Ad Space. I'm your host, Aaron Rand Freeman. But the actual host of the show, here with me, the most delicious name in podcasting, Elise Bacon. Bacon, how are you?
Who are you?
Aaron Rand Freeman.
Are you sure?
I mean, we might be an AI simulation. At this point, I don't care.
I mean, I have to double check. I don't really know. I've been watching Lovecraft Country and I just I don't know who anybody is. Are you a monster in disguise?
Oh, I'm not a monster. No.
Are you a ghost?
I'm not a ghost. I'm finna get these dark powers, though, as is my birthright as a Freeman. So fuck y'all. That's what I'm here for, yes. My
Okay.
dark powers. I
Okay,
need
Mr.
them.
Freeman. Okay, Mr. Freeman.
I'm not getting in the Lovecast country unless you are. That's another thing. I'm not, because I don't know who's watched what.
No, I'm not watching. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I've just been sending random messages to people as I watch stuff. So
Right.
I basically just use everybody as a notepad. And
Ah,
then they're just like laughing at my random commentary, but I don't post it anywhere. I just send it to people's inboxes.
right. That's what I mean. That's when you know you're a social commentator and people are just like, hey, take your time out to form an opinion so I can hear it. So there you go. Congratulations, Bacon.
No, I just don't want to spoil
You're a
anything for
social
anybody.
commentator.
Except this episode, we're gonna spoil the fuck out of Korra, but that's beside the point.
You're a social commentator. And our other host. Also
Our
social
other
commentator.
social commentator,
Yes, another social commentator.
social commentator 2.0.
It's all just the same firmware. It's all same.
Okay.
Up to date. Free on Game Pass, though. 3/5 podcast host, Justin. Sir, how are you?
Wait, did you say he's free on?
We're all free on Game Pass, yes.
I mean,
Okay.
everything is free.
Everything is
That's
free.
Okay, I'm
the
like,
point.
okay. I just, I just wanted to make sure. I
Right.
didn't know I was on Game Pass.
We're all on Game Pass, yeah. I didn't send out an
Half
email.
the games on Game Pass don't realize that they're
Ain't
on
that,
Game
ain't
Pass.
that the fucking truth?
I
But
gotta be
they
honest.
They have to know. They have to sign a contract.
The way them new games be pulling up on Game Pass, boy, sometimes I go, oh, cool. This game looks cool. I heard about it. I wonder how much it costs. Oh, it says install. Well, then. Well, okay.
Well, a lot of times, like when they negotiate what goes onto what console, or when they negotiate that stuff, they'll be like, after like a week, it goes on Game Pass, or sometimes it just gets negotiated in.
Right. Justin, though, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I gotta say, Xbox, I see the vision. Well, not even Xbox. You're not Xbox anymore. You're just Microsoft. Microsoft, I see the vision. I see what y'all are attempting. You're trying to get everyone to buy into this games as a service, and you put out a console out of obligation, and I appreciate that. I'm not getting it because Persona's not going to come out on Xbox, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Which of these consoles will let me play Persona? I'm a very simple man with very simple needs. But if it was not for Persona, I'd give the Xbox a hard look. I'd take a peek at it.
I mean,
Game Pass is very enticing.
that $25 a month situation for the console is a sweet deal. At some point, we will all have Game Pass. I'm not saying we will all have Xbox. I'm saying we will all have Game Pass. And Microsoft is okay with that.
I'm going to have Xbox because I need a console in my. I need to be able to game in my room, and my PC is very not in my room, which it needs to not ever be in my room. Because no, I really need to keep work and my sleep separate. But I also just want to lay down and play a video game sometimes. As I'm like trying to navigate playing Final Fantasy 14 for an unholy number of hours while watching TV yesterday. So like I need something.
Right.
But and I don't.
And in about a year.
And now that I have Super PC and I have a Switch, like there's gonna be like 2 games that I won't have access to.
Everyone needs to be on Game Pass. Microsoft is willing to give you a console so that you can be on Game Pass before they put Game Pass on everything but PlayStation.
By the way, Game Pass is also available on PC, so you might as well just get it, which is also another reason why I'm getting the Xbox, because you can share Game Pass between the Xbox and PC.
Yes. And at some point, Game Pass is going to be on Switch, which is going to be monumental. And I'm excited for Game Pass to be on Switch so that you can play your Xbox games on Switch.
Also, games you buy on Xbox will be available via PC even more. They're expanding that as well.
Yes.
So,
and EA Play is included with your Game Pass,
which is great because EA Play is trash.
Yeah, it ain't good. It ain't.
Oh, I thought you could get your Dragon Ages and your Mass Effects through that.
Right.
No, I mean it is. I'm just saying the application is trash.
Yeah.
Oh yes. No, that is a terrible application.
The worst app. Don't even talk to me about the PC version of that app.
Oh no, I got one worse than EA Play. I got one worse. PS Now, because that does literally the exact same thing as Game Pass, but the interface is so terrible to use. Even on PlayStation, it is terrible to navigate and terrible to use.
You want to know?
Like,
you want to know what's worse than the interface issues? The fact that you can barely play the games because their streaming setup is trash.
That too.
The whole network is trash. So Microsoft is like, we're going to expand our servers so you get much less lag. And Sony's like, meh. And I'm like, Sony, Sony, you need to fix your network issues and increase your servers.
And Sony's like, or we could not do that.
And I'm like, you're obsolete.
Well, Microsoft is going all in on their games as a service. I feel like they're putting a console out of obligation. But Game Pass is their big draw. And it should be. It's an amazing steal. And Sony seems to be going all in on, nope, you want this console. This is what you want.
Well, honestly, Game Pass is how they're selling the Xbox.
Right.
Because the biggest reason why is because the reason for a console is because not everybody can afford or have a high-end gaming computer, which is what's needed for a lot of games. So having a console lets people utilize Game Pass. Like, it gets Game Pass into people's houses. And it turns the console itself into what Microsoft has always been wanting, an entertainment box. It's just all going to be streaming and cloud, which is fine because it's literally how we're living right now. This is how we live.
Right. And that's the thing. I realize I'm not necessarily I realize I might be becoming a Microsoft fan when I really was pretty neutral before.
No, you've always been a Microsoft fan. I don't know where you got this idea.
Well, no. Well, the thing was I didn't really. The problem is objectively, PlayStation games kept coming out on Xbox and neutralized the need for me to get the console. Like, I remember I had a list of 10 PlayStation 4 games 3-4 years ago that I was like, cool. When the PlayStation 4 is on sale, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna get these 10 games. I was rhyming when I talk, like Roadblock and everything when I said it. It was crazy. But 8 of those games came out on Xbox in the next year. So I was like, okay, so I just never got it. That's why I never said PlayStation 4 is bad. I said I just have no need for one. But I'm not going to lie. Microsoft sidling up next to us during the beginning of this terrible recession we're about to have. Being like, all right, so
you know what we're already in, and it's going to turn into like an actual depression.
Yeah, the pre-depression. The fact that it's already pulling up.
Off
yeah, so a recession is pre-depression.
Right. So we're in pre-depression, and they're pulling up next to us
Yeah,
like, how about
we are currently in a recession.
right? And the fact that they're pulling up next to us like, we know you ain't gonna have no money in 6 months, dog. We got you. Is actually fairly meaningful. In pretty much the only thing that matters to me right now is whether I can afford these fucking games that I want to play. And everyone argues everything else, and I'm like, none of y'all niggas are gonna have any money. The only people that understand that are Microsoft. They're the only gaming company that's like, y'all niggas ain't gonna have no money by May. By the time tax returns come out, that's gonna be it. Y'all gonna be living on your tax returns for 3 months next year. It's gonna be crazy. And they're the only people that are looking us in the eye with a wink and a nudge about how we're all gonna be fucking poor next year. Thank you.
That's because they're here, and Microsoft is also the Games Foundation specifically is doing a lot of work into the vaccine research and also treatment for those with COVID.
Right.
Because they're here.
Yeah.
They live here. They see
I do
everything.
wonder if you miss a payment on your Xbox, do they come and repo it?
I imagine they just turn
Like,
on.
not like
They
physically come to your house, but do they say, okay, cool, you haven't paid off your Xbox, you've missed X amount of payments, it's on the network, you can no longer connect. All the
right.
games you download no longer have access to.
Exactly.
Put a digital Mojang on your
They're gonna.
console.
Yep. They're gonna shut it down just like any other subscription service. You're gonna.
It'll be just like your phone.
Right. You'll have a phone. You'll have a $1,000 box until you pay. This $1,000 plastic box, just looking all, smelling all good, looking all shiny. Turn it on. They ask you to pay. If you say no, that turns itself back on. So, yeah.
Across the screen, set up payment arrangements.
Right. It's like, no, so.
Your payment arrangements.
Right. There ain't going to be no discs that go in it. Your entire access to your Xbox will be through the internet and your payment plan. So if you do not pay, then I imagine it will cut itself off. There will be no more access for you. Which I'm fine with. I think, and
it's kind of how my life works, so I don't really care.
Right. And it's just like, I think this is the reality that we're walking towards. And that's my only issue with Sony compared to what, because Nintendo sells Nintendo. And Nintendo does not care what we do. It will sell Nintendo at Nintendo's pace, Nintendo's way, and it will work.
Nintendo always makes their products affordable too.
Right.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So like there's like a new a Switch model coming out, which is going to have like the security stuff on it. But the reason why they put out the Switch Lite was so people could still play games at a much lower cost.
Right.
Like they've always had either an affordable model or kept affordable prices if they can't have it. Just partially why I like them. Also, they just have good games. The games are good. The games are fun.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the thing is, and I'll say this, and I don't like, Sony's competing with themselves, and all the fans are making up a conflict that no longer exists. But the PlayStation launch feels old, if that makes sense.
No, that makes
it's like they want us to buy one box for 2 games. You know what I mean? That's not how this works anymore. They want us to spend $650 on the spot for like 2 games. No. Most of all, we can't do that. And we no longer do that. We have several games affordably priced due to frequent sales. We buy games on services now. We buy games. It's just a strange proposition that I don't even understand why I don't even understand why people are no longer looking at it as strange. Kind of like the NBA 2K the NBA 2K model with the coins, with the digital currency. Like, that's a scam. And it's a strange scam that shouldn't work. And you just need to look at it and be like, I think this doesn't work anymore. But it's like, it's strange. It's like not enough people are questioning it, even though it's just not tenable. It's not even like a matter of wanting to do it or not wanting to do it. It's going to be untenable for several of us. And like, not enough people want to say it. And
it's funny you bring up 2K because it's not like they're hiding the scam. The scam is in your face. They are telling you it is a scam. You are telling them, hey, this is a scam. And they're saying, yep, you're going to be right back here at launch day, aren't you?
I don't, that's fine. If people, listen, mobile games are a scam. Niggas are paying thousands per month on things that are a scam.
Sports games are the bigger scam because sports games don't change, and also sports games are full price.
Okay, so literally this pay-to-play game that I'm playing right now, it's basically a pay-to-play game. I play MLO Spender now. I went like over 6 months free to play, and now I'm like, okay, I'm still playing this. I can spend money on this game. It's not horrible. But there are people who there's a person who literally dropped $1,000 on this game for shit that's free to do. It's free. And they're just like, here's $1,000. Or they just spent it where if they had been patient about it, like spent their money in, like a hero will come out and when you buy one pack, it's $5. And then the next, like once you buy it, the cost then increases to like $20. So people will buy like 5 packs of the same hero. And I'm like, but if you buy the $5 pack every time it comes out, you save hundreds of dollars. Like hundreds of dollars. And it doesn't even take that long. And they're like, nope, I'm going to just drop $500 right now.
Right. Like, at least in mobile games, the scam is they're trying to make the wait seem not worth it, and you pay to skip the wait. You pay to skip the line.
Right.
What 2K has devolved into is you pay $60 for a game. Now to literally progress through the single player story, you have to pay more money because the grind and experience that you gain from doing regular activities will not keep pace with the story, and you will inevitably fail unless you pay more money or go online and play with people who have already paid to skip the line, and now you're getting beat down and not getting the experience because experience is translated into wins and not individual performance. So it's also why I'm upset that Live has not come back, because Live 19 said, hey, you just want to play a basketball game. Cool. Our microtransactions are for our gotcha game, because now all sports games have a gotcha element, right? They stole that from mobile games, where it's like, cool, I pay money, I can get a random character for my super team when I can go online and play other super teams.
That's listen, I love the gotcha. I don't care what anybody says.
The gotcha is universally popular in any genre.
It's like, yeah, like, so for a lot of like the romance games, it's literally like you're just like, it's gambling with handsome men. I was just like, no, it really is. All of a sudden you flip a card and they're like, here's this beautiful bio shonen, and I'm just like, I love you.
So
it's great.
That's the only microtransaction that exists in Live. They could have easily said, hey, all these cosmetic options, there could be a gotcha element to that too. But they said, we're just going to keep it at the gotcha game part. Your individual progression through the game is not built on wins and losses. It is built on your individual performance. Your team can suck. Your team can be garbage. And as long as you contributed and you did your best, you'll still get the full experience. And you can have an enjoyable experience leveling your individual character, whether online or single player. And I appreciated that. I was like, cool, I don't have to pay to advance. 2K has said, no, you're going to pay to advance and you're going to like it.
Yep. There are dual cottage industries. There are the people who are good at 2K, who play it professionally. Now, there are the people who report 2K, which is the second pillar. And then there's the third of the people who hate 2K, who also make bank putting out shit about how much they hate 2K. So there's no way they can fail, because even if they put out a classically bad game, everyone will spend 8 months talking about it. So there's no reason for them to try, which is why it's such a big scam. It's perfect. It's the biggest scam.
It works though.
Oh yeah, it's good for them. I mean, if you like money,
it will work every year.
Every year, they every year they don't care. They let you know what's going on. Nobody cares. All three pillars of the 2K community prepare for something, and as a result, they make bank before anyone, even if it's a scam.
You know what all three of those pillars have in common?
What?
You're all playing 2K on release day. Every last one of them.
But yeah, I forgot our original topic because we're superstars.
Microsoft?
Get Game Pass.
Game Pass. I mean, yeah, Game
Get
Pass
Game
is great.
Get Game Pass. I mean, like I said, they're willing to slide you a whole ass console to play Game Pass. They're serious about this Game Pass shit. They ain't even worried about the console. They're worried about Game Pass, and I think they're onto something there.
I kind of think the console's cute. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm about that $500 joint. I'm here for my fucking PC in a box. God damn it, I'm tired.
So, like you, Aaron, when it was PS3, when PS3 came out, I had a list of games, like a list of series that's like, cool. If these ever cross over, then I'm crossing over. But as long as these exist on PS4, then I'm probably, or as long as these exist in Sony, I'm probably gonna stay there. Like, you know, my JRPGs, my Armored Core.
Mm-hmm.
Then Armored Core went to Xbox, and I was like, it begins.
My God.
Yeah. No, Armored Core 4 went to Xbox, but I think 4 Answers stayed with Sony. So I was like, okay, I see the first salvo being fired.
Right. But
as long as my quirky Japanese games stay with, I think a few of the Tales series came out on Xbox too, like Tales of
Vesperia. Yes.
Yes, it's one of my favorites.
I got it.
But the Tales series is multi-platform.
So.
I'm playing the Tales series have been multi-platform. There's always a PC one.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're going to be putting out one on the Switch.
Yep.
Yeah, Namco specifically is not a exclusive publisher.
Yo, once Dynasty Warriors started going, because that was my other series, I'm like, if Dynasty Warriors ever flips, that's going to be another one. And they said, yeah, if we're putting it on Xbox too, we don't care. Play the games.
There's a version of Dynasty Warriors on Game Pass, I believe. 2 versions of Dynasty Warriors on Game Pass. I'm going to look during the episode to confirm, but I think Dynasty Warriors is on Game Pass.
If Dynasty Warriors is on Game Pass, that is
I'm pretty
amazing.
Sure.
Nick, everything's on Game Pass. I don't think we are not making this clear. Microsoft is wilding right now. Like, they're wilding like Crazy Eddie. Like, this is nuts. Like, this is not what they're doing. They're like, fuck convention. Buy our service. Our service has what you want on it. Somewhere in these 500 games is a game for you. We're willing to bet on it.
Remember Gamefly?
Yes.
Right. Microsoft just did it a million times better.
Right.
Yeah, that is 100% accurate. This is Gamefly except useful.
Right.
Right. Gamefly was terrible.
So
ambitious, but terrible.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like if Dr. Doom was pro-black, because in 10 years this might blow up in our faces. Microsoft putting all their horses behind a AA development in indie games, it might blow up in our faces. It might be a thing. It might be a huge problem in 10 years, but right now,
no, indie games are amazing, and also the quality of them is just getting so
oh my god, it's holding up. It's holding up gaming during the pandemic. I'm not even going to go on that tangent. That's a whole 30-minute discussion. But AA development is holding up gaming right now. Holding it the fuck up during the coronavirus. Holding it up. Both hands like fucking Hercules.
I am 99% positive we talked about this last episode.
It's getting worse. I mean, better or worse.
I just did a quick search on Game Pass.
Uh-huh.
Disgaea 4 on Game Pass.
Yes.
Crusader Kings 3 on Game Pass?
Yeah.
Yes. Squeenix has also pulled the plug on being having like exclusives.
Right.
Oh yeah. Final Fantasy 7 on Game Pass.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 13, 12, 13, 1, 2, and 3. No,
Yeah.
up to 12. I think 12 is on Game Pass. Up to 12 is on Game Pass. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know which one. I own them all, so I don't know. But I know a bunch of Final Fantasies are on Game Pass.
All the remasters are on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what he meant.
Right. That's
So literally the only holdout is Atlas in the Persona series. That's it.
No, it's just the Persona series because the other Atlas games are on Game Pass.
Yeah, Disgaea.
Mhm.
It's just Persona. And you have to remember, okay, I have to have this conversation because this is driving me crazy. There is a difference between publishers and studios. Atlas is a publisher. Atlas is not a studio. Now publishers can have studios under them, and each studio basically runs their own thing. And then Atlas just goes, here's your money and make me money. Like, that's like the most of it. And then like, we'll put out your games if you, and handle the distribution and things like that, if you like make us money, essentially. So again, I think it's really important, like, and I especially hear this with EA as we're talking about EA is trash. And I'm like, okay, EA as a company has been historically trash, but most of what you're talking about are the studios underneath them. And this specific studio is hot garbage. Maxis is fucking garbage and has been garbage.
I seem to remember it's well, did I just not realize they were garbage as a kid in the 90s?
I think you just
They're
didn't realize
putting
they were
out
garbage.
Sim Ant and Sim Tower.
Yeah, but we all have a love for Sim Roller Coaster and Sim Zoo.
Yes.
Those were two really good ones. But I just like, I need to like, when you're gonna get mad at a certain studio, if you're gonna get mad at a game, get mad at the studio behind the game, because the publisher really doesn't control the game. They are too busy to have that much control over every game that's under them.
Right.
Because they're
Except
massive
in-
and they've got like hundreds, and like these big ones like Atlas have like hundreds of studios underneath them.
Right. It also doesn't help that Atlas Publisher has a developer under them called Atlas Development.
Right. Make sure they've got two different things at the end of their name. So make sure you're looking at Atlas Development and not Atlas Inc. And Atlas Development also works on specific games.
Or you'll have an instance where the publisher does get involved, like with the 2K basketball series, where the publisher says, hey, these are things you need to include to make us money.
Right. Funny enough, for the most part, EA is not the one who's making folks include microtransactions.
No.
Right, no. The EA, the company, does not want or doesn't care one way or the other about microtransactions. EA Sports, the developer, loves them.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's also like a difference between, you know, the developers and those underneath.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. You have to do your research before you get mad so you can point your anger in the right direction.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I thought it was funny when everyone was saying Activision is the reason I don't like Destiny. And I was like, nope. The reason you don't like Destiny are the creative choices that development team made, and they will continue to make those choices away from Activision.
Which is really funny because people are now realizing that. They're like, oh, it wasn't Activision. I'm like, you're right, it wasn't Activision.
I mean, I don't know. I'm willing to. I mean, it seems as though once they broke up, I can't tell whether it was. I don't know. that there's a whole thing about that. I'm not, because it seems as though they've turned a corner since they left. But I also hit the scene with some bullshit. Like Destiny 2 hit the scene with some bullshit on Bungie's part. But then I can't tell whether it's them breaking up with Activision or whether it's us threatening them with torches and pitchforks to make a real game, for them to make a real game.
It's both. So what happened is they broke up with Activision, and they made a few creative decisions that were also making people really angry after the breakup. And they then realized that they don't have Activision's money behind them anymore.
Bingo.
And went, fuck, we need to make some better decisions. And then they started making some turnaround. So it really was both.
I see. That makes sense.
Right. Like I wish I could remember what the fuck up was, but it was weird. They did something weird and I was just like, I'm never playing. And then they're just like, oh, wait, back to the drawing board. Here's our game plan for the next 2 years.
Right.
Well, they never wanted to, and this goes back to Destiny 1, they never wanted to admit that they were an MMO.
Right.
They're a fucking MMO.
Yeah.
Like they what do they call themselves? A game as a service?
And I'm like, you're a
Or a
fucking
live
MMO.
service game. That's what they say. We are a live service game. And I'm like, all right, I've played MMOs. This is how an MMO works. If you would just lean fully into that model, you would save yourself a lot of headache. And I think since the split, they've leaned more into the MMO model.
Right.
And that's also what Avengers is doing.
That's
That's also why I'm not really interested in Avengers. I'm playing an MMO right now.
Well, so that's Avengers has two knocks for why I'm probably never going to play it, even though it looks like an incredibly fun game. I hate that art
right now.
Like I hate the I know Squeenix didn't develop it, but it's the Squeenix realistic style, right? Like that Deus Machina, this is how people look, except that's not how anybody looks. Like I hate that art style.
Oh no, it's 3D Bioshonen.
Yes, I hate that so much.
I love it. It cracks me up. I'm like, everybody is so beautiful.
I'm like, people don't, this is not how people look.
People have feathery hair.
And it's another live service game, and I'm like, but I played 14. Like that was the death knell in Destiny for me. Once I actually played 14, I was like, oh no, I'm never going back. Like I can't go back.
Well,
I can get my shooter needs fulfilled elsewhere without the bloat. Because the other thing that really irked me with Destiny was mechanically, it is a fun game to play. The shooting feels fun. It feels fun to do raids. It feels fun to do the story. PvP feels fun. All of that felt fun. The story and how they drip fed the DLC that was ultimately meaningless offended me. Like they do the whole thing with the Infinite Forest. And then it's like, and now every couple months you can go into the Infinite Forest for a special event for a limited time. And I'm like, then why did you make us buy this DLC?
Yeah. So that's after going through that with Destiny 1 and then seeing it again in Destiny 2, I went, no, I'm done. I can't. Like, I'm really glad that they're fixing and have like made all their mistakes, but like that was one of those, it was one of those points where I was just like, I am never buying another Bungie game because I cannot do this again.
it seems as though
whatever they put out, I am not doing that.
I mean, it does seem like they've gotten their shit together, but yeah, I definitely see it. Right,
but it took 2 years for them to start getting their shit together, and I'm not spending my money that way anymore.
Right.
Like I'm just not, and if it's not like Ark Evolved where like, or No Man's Sky where it was the first game, it was the second time it happened. The exact same thing, the exact same cycle. And I'm like, never again. These white men need to fix their life.
Oh.
However, they treat their employees fantastically, by the way. I just want to say they are actually a really good company and they're good to their employees and they're being really good to their employees during the pandemic. But their game design choices.
Well, they had just started saying it was an MMO around the time Shadowkeep came out. Well, they were before Shadowkeep came out. They were like, "All right, so this is an MMO, guys," and it was like a big deal they made about it. They're like, "We're gonna stop fucking around. This is in fact an MMO." And once they did that, then the direction of the game finally solidified because they were trying to not make it an MMO to the point where the content was weird, the narrative design was weird, and now they finally were just like, "This is an MMO," so now it plays like an MMO, which is fantastic.
I'm still trying to figure out what weird elitist white boy bullshit were they on to be like, this is not an MMO.
Well,
I think they were just scared of the connotations around we're an MMO. Oh, so you're like World of Warcraft, and like you said, that's an elitist white boy thing. It's like, no, it's just literally a massively multiplayer online game. You play with your friends, you play with people in the world.
Actually, to be honest, that doesn't even really happen anymore.
Well, no, not anymore.
World of Warcraft is finally hitting that point where it is no longer people's first MMO. Most people's first MMO is like League of Legends or all of these free-to-play games because niggas are broke. So the funny enough, like free-to-play games are now people's first MMO. So that
what's creeping up on that list?
I know, Final Fantasy 14.
If you would have told me in 2010 that the fastest growing MMO would be Final Fantasy 14, I would have said you're out of your mind.
It's really good. It's a really good game.
You know what it was that Bungie didn't want to do was they didn't want to have to balance an RPG that's a shooting game. That seemed to be the most exhausting thing for them, was the fact that they would bring out all these guns and they would have all these ecosystems, and then every week they'd have trials and 4 things worked. 500 guns, 4 things worked. Everyone showed everyone else what worked, so then everybody else went through the rest of the game and they blew everything apart with these things, this hard 5-weapon meta. And everyone was like, fix it. And Bungie lost their goddamn mind, so they're like, we're going to bring out a game with no RPG in it because fuck y'all. And then there was that big revolt, and they were like, all right, so we're going to put a little RPG in our game. We heard you. You took one of our men. You cut off his hand. He's okay, but we hear you. We are going to put a real RPG in this game. And ever since that employee got his hand cut off by the mob, they've been working on making Destiny a real game and dealing with the challenges of trying to balance a constantly evolving ecosystem for a shooting game. And so, yeah, they were being super lazy. Destiny 2 is a super act of aggressive laziness and disdain for their audience for a particular reason. What?
Do you know what's a really easy solution for that?
What?
For not having your PvE story modes, etc., decimated by poor balancing.
What?
Put stat caps.
That's what they're doing now. They're sunsetting weapons, so there's going to be a light level. There's going to be a light level cap after about a year and some change for so a lot of the old weapons now, the max light level for this season is it. And you have to start using new weapons as of next year, and eventually you're not going to be able to settle in on the meta, and you're at the top of the food chain. You're not going to be able to settle in on the meta the way you could for the past year.
You know what game handled the balance between PvE and PvP really well?
What?
And I've said since 2008 I could actually teach a class just on this game alone. DC Universe Online. Every weapon has a PvP stat and a PvE stat.
Mm-hmm.
And they're viable for different things. Like the PvP meta focuses on a completely different stat set than your PvE meta. And they're constantly observing how the PvP functions because it's a live world PvP. So you've got people that are just running around as a hero. Oh, I see a villain. I'm gonna mess them up. Cool. And then there's the dedicated PvP tournaments, and they're constantly watching, seeing, okay, what are people doing? How are they reacting? They're constantly ahead of what the meta is going to be, so that you can never settle on a meta. You can only settle on a play style. It's like, cool, if I want to do this thing, like if I want to be a healer and I want to be a combat medic, like I want to be in the mix of it while also healing, I have to prioritize these stats. Like there's not going to be a certain gear set that I need. Like with Destiny 2 for PvP, if you wanted to do PvP, you needed the Meta multi-tool, right? Like there was a time where everybody had the Meta.
Yes.
Then it turned into pulse rifles because of how burst damage worked.
Right.
Funny enough, I just like pulse rifles for how they shoot.
Well, yeah, like in shooters, traditionally, like a 3-shot burst is how I like my guns. Like I don't like the full auto. I like a controlled burst because I can be more accurate that way. But yeah, Destiny, until like Aaron said, until recently, seemed wholly uninterested in actually balancing their PvP meta with their PvE ecosystem.
Right. Well,
So,
but they got it together, and yeah, just in
No,
time
folks
for
having fun with it.
just
I'm
in
glad
time
folks are
for
having fun with
I know
it.
that's
Right,
what, but
right,
I will say I never ask people specifically. I never ask people who play Final Fantasy to play Destiny because it's just on
Oh
another
yeah,
level.
no. So Aaron watching me play a raid for the first time,
It's
that was hilarious.
yeah, I never bother you guys. I'm gonna take a moment to shade all the people because every season in Destiny, I always get text messages about I'm back. I like this. Those people play for about a week more and then they disappear. And I'm here. If you're listening to this and you feel attacked, it's because you're being attacked. I did this last time. You are being attacked. Please don't message me that you're back. Just play. I say it every year, more than once. If you like a game and you're back in the saddle, just play, man. Don't announce it to me because I don't give a fuck because I don't trust you. And then you prove to be not trustworthy. You lying. That's the thing. How about that? You hitting me up saying you back on a game and you're off in a week. You're a liar. Do you want to be a liar? I bet you don't. Just think about it. We can move on. I just want to leave it.
What the context was of our conversation when I told you, and I'm like, I will never, and you went, thank you.
Right. Right.
You're just like, thank you for telling me you will never.
Right. You were saying, because the thing about it is what happens is you said, I'm never playing Destiny. I'm not playing Destiny. And usually when people say they're not playing Destiny is they mean they're just so far behind that they don't want to bother. Right. But there's a difference. And then they get on, and then they kind of wind up waffling where they're like, all right, I'm going to try Destiny again. So everybody who says they're not on it, I believe at some point they're just going to be like, well, I'm back on it whenever the mood strikes them. So for you to be like, no, I'm done playing this was novel because no one ever just says, I'm not playing this game anymore. Everyone says, oh, I'm too far behind. And they make a big deal out of it. And then they wind up jumping back on and making a big deal out of that, when in really you just stop playing or then start playing. Again, you're being attacked because you sought me out to tell me you're going to play for a week. Don't do that. It's embarrassing. I feel embarrassed for you. Don't do that.
Speaking about Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Well,
that is an excellent transition.
while we still have our semi-permanent part-time co-host.
Hostage, I believe, is the term we agreed upon. Hostage.
No, you said hostage. I say you're willing. It's not my fault you didn't realize that you were being kidnapped.
Damn dog.
And on that note,
Damn.
I
dog.
thought I was clear. And you were like, no. I can't help that you were in denial for so long.
God damn.
okay, that's,
Mm.
I guess that's fair. But Final Fantasy, the newest patch, Reflections in Crystal 5.3 has dropped, as well as 5.3.1 at the time of this recording. 5.3.1 is really crafting changes. They added the next step to the restoration of Ishgard, where we literally build our own Ishgardian housing districts. I do appreciate that 14 said, you want Ishgard housing? You're going to have to build it.
Literally, with there is a story event and it's like an 8-day event where all you're doing is like these specialized PvE like events. Like, you know, they'd be called events in Destiny, but they're called fates in Final Fantasy. And like you just like you run around and build stuff, and then you also at the same time, like there's this separate area where you queue into. It's called the Diadem, where you gather resources. And so you gather resources, and then you can also craft them into like collectibles. But the collectibles are like awnings, beds, tile, lampposts, benches, doors. What am I crafting? I'm crafting braziers and a special alchemical growth formula. You know, that's
we are literally building a housing district, which that's a clever way to do it. It's a clever way to get everyone into crafting.
Right. And not even just a housing district, we're also building like the business district around it.
Yes.
So I'm really it's actually making me excited because I want to know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, like we're all invested in this. Like it is an entire separate side story, side narrative of rebuilding this district after the Dragonsong War, after all of everything that has happened here. And like you said, it makes us want to know what's going on. Then there's the main narrative of 5-3.
I just want to add that through the 8 days of the event, there's actually leaderboards for for gathering, for each individual gathering class and each individual crafting class. I don't know if I'm going to make it on the boards. That's not my purpose. But I have spent an ungodly number of hours. But I'm also a day behind. But we'll see, because I'm unemployed. Please send us money. It goes towards my groceries and rent. And now for the story narrative.
Transition. These motherfuckers don't miss, man. Like I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this story. These motherfuckers don't miss.
I cried. I literally cried. I just spent the entire last dungeon, I'm tearing up thinking about it right now, just sobbing. And the last trial, like, they made this person who has been like a bad guy since 2.0. Like, he's been like a big, like, not even just a bad guy. He's like the super smartest, like, biggest problem, we'll never be able to deal with him, bad guy. And they made him human. They like completely humanized this character in a way that is just soul destroying.
And the worst part, once you finally figure out what's happening, everything that you've done up to that point, it completely recontextualizes it.
Right. And the fact
it's so good. Like we see Sympathy for the Devil played, we see redemption arcs played, but this
I haven't seen story narrative like this.
Like it contextualizes a villain without redeeming them. Right? Like you feel sorry for them, you empathize with them, you wish that it didn't have to be this way, then you stab them in the face because you got to.
Right. There was no other outcome.
Yeah. Like it's like Old Yeller. You got to put the dog down.
But it was, the worst part about it is that he 100% doesn't think that he's wrong. And even from his point of view, it's really hard to see him as being wrong. But he also he's also been alive and fighting for so long that he doesn't remember the original purpose.
Right. Like one thing that the main Shadowbringers narrative did was it gave us a reason for why the Ascians are doing what they're doing. They're not just your generic bad guy cult. they've lost everything and they will kill everyone to get it back.
Because the only way to get it back is literally to kill everyone.
And in their eyes, it's like you aren't real people. Like you are pale reflections of what we are. It's no different than literally cracking an egg to make an omelet. Like that's how they look at humanity. It's like I have to make an omelet so eggs get cracked.
Kind of. I don't even think they view it like that. I think it's actually more sincere than that, because that sounds, for them, they're literally looking at their loved ones split into 12 versions of themselves.
Right. And they will kill.
But they're not, in their mind, they're not killing them. They're just bringing everybody back together to make them whole again.
Right.
So the problem is that when you do that, you also are bringing together 12 worlds of people and putting them back whole again.
And killing them in the process.
Right. All those other personalities, lives, etc. are gone because now they're the original person.
Yeah.
So it's really one of those, like, there's some serious ethical dilemmas here.
Right. But every time it's brought up to them, they're just like, okay, but you're not real. Like
right.
every argument with them hinges on the fact that they don't view us as real people.
Right. But they're like, you are literally a fragment. You don't know. They're literally like, they talk more like children.
Yeah.
They're more like, you are a fragment you don't understand. When you're together, you will understand.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, they're like, they're looking at even though you don't understand, I know this is best for you.
And we are vehemently saying, I like living.
Right. We're like, no. There's a lot of no's here.
And so it just carries that through line all the way to 5-3. We close out the storyline for the first. And we close out the storyline for the true Ascians. And now I'm interested to see where they go for their next expansion. They said that this is the final chapter. Okay, Squeenix. Once you see that bank statement for 20 million players joining in 6 months, I seriously doubt they're like, maybe we can crank out 2 or 3 more of these expansions. Maybe we can. But I'm interested to see what they're going to do, because it looks like they're going to try to bring Xenos back.
Well, I mean, he's already back. But
well, I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
Primary antagonist.
Right. The interesting thing about Xenos is, like, he's a bit different. He's also extremely bored. And the board is kind of cracking me up, I'm not going to lie.
Well, I think they're going to, what they wanted to do with him in Stormblood, I think they weren't able to do as well as they wanted, because there was so much going on in Stormblood. We kind of forgot about Xenos there until the end. So now they're going to sort of play up, okay, this is who he is, this is why it's a problem, and this is why you two have more in common than you think.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see it. Oh, and on top of closing out the story from the first, they also resolve a lot of questions from A Realm Reborn that haven't been addressed up until now. And it ends on such a, there's like a 30-minute extreme emotional roller coaster, but it ends very well.
Yes.
I'm very happy.
It is satisfying. Also, do the side quests. There's one side quest where you have to go to somebody's grave with someone's mother, and I wasn't ready for that. Not gonna lie, was not ready for that one.
It wasn't ready.
The other thing they added with 5-3 was the Puppets Bunker, the next part of the Nier raid, and
Death.
nigga.
I still Okay, I still can't get through the plane part of it. Like I try, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
I think I get it. So for the plane part, they all have the blade out. You have to watch where all of the blades are pointing, and then based on that sequence, it'll either be in or out.
Yeah, so I'm usually healing during that point,
That
and I just like I don't. This is just gonna be like one of those where it's just gonna take a long time for me to figure that one out because like I'm so busy in Puppets Bunker.
I feel like this is, and you've been current longer than I have. This is the first expansion that I've been current all the way through. This feels like a different, like the difficulty spike between Copied Factory, Eden's Gate. No, Eden's Verse is the second one. Like the difficulty spike between those two and Puppets Bunker is a pretty massive spike.
Yeah, that's pretty common. So the first raid isn't usually the hardest. It's generally the second raid. The order in which they come out is basically the order of their difficulty.
Oh, that's lovely.
Right. And
So I could express a similar spike in 5.5.
Yes. 5.5 is going to be just like Monastery when it came out.
Oh God, yo, the Monastery was such a struggle bus when it first dropped.
Okay, but the thing is Lighthouse is worse than Monastery.
The beginning of Lighthouse is worse than Monastery.
I can see where the end is harder for some people. I'm the end I just picked up immediately of Lighthouse.
That's fair. That's fair. The magnet part can get a little tricky.
Right. But like, I mean, the magnet part, I was just like, oh, I know this one. But it was a reused mechanic from another thing because they'll reuse mechanics from like dungeons or whatever. So unless you've done all the content, like if you've done all the content, you kind of have an idea of how they're like using a new mechanic. Like there's an adjusted mechanic. Shit, what is it? That orc guy who's got the hammers and the swords.
Yeah.
That's an adjusted one from the level 1 through 50 dungeons.
Yep.
Yes. Something? He had the glower and the stuff. Yeah.
The coin counter in Arms Vale.
Thank you. And another one uses that same mechanic too. Then also in the fight with the lovely frog prince, I love him, where he turns into a giant squiggly thing. That's a boss from the Void Ark? It's either
question mark.
Yeah, it's one of those two. It's either Void Ark or the City of Mach.
Right. And while we're talking about 5.3, that last dungeon where everybody you helped throughout the entire expansion in one way, shape, or form comes to help you out. That whole dungeon, I'm just screaming in my mic, let's go! Let's go!
Among my friends! And it was great. Like, but seeing Peas Blossom and Mustard Seed, I was just like, I'm like, I love you, but also fuck you because of the King Titania X trial.
I was like, how does it feel, motherfuckers? How does it feel?
Right? Oh, look, all of y'all are getting turned into frogs.
I was so happy. I saw that. I was like, yeah, turn them into, I will get all of you right here. Just stand right here and frogs.
Listen, destroying them on my ninja was the happiest thing ever because I get to do fire blasts. So I'm just like, knives, fire, inferno, fire. Take all of it.
All the cardinal virtues, everyone you helped out for the cardinal virtues, they show up. I was like, yep, let's go. Like that. It is such a satisfying conclusion to this to the story on the first. It is such a satisfying conclusion. This is effectively the end of the Shadowbringer story because the next two patches are going to focus on the next expansion.
Right. They're going to be yes. Yes.
It was just, these motherfuckers don't miss. Puppet's Bunker, it is incredible. I think the first time we went through it, we all died. Like
we all died the second time we went through it.
Yeah. Yeah, like it.
There's still a lot of death that happens in there.
We're gonna die again on Saturday. We will die again on Saturday.
Niggas finna die.
It's such a spot. Like Tiff was watching me do it, and the first boss, she was like, "How can you keep track of everything?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna be honest, I'm not. Some of this is muscle memory. Some of this is guesswork." And it's like, well, how do you know what to do when it comes out? And we're just like, a lot of death, a lot of trial and error.
Right. After you die several times to it, you kind of learn.
Right.
By the way, I thought it was really cute. I just have to say this. During Monastery, I've been teaching people mechanics every time I go because it's always new people. Because the Evil East raids are required for the new relic weapon.
That's right.
Yeah. So every time I'm in there, I'm always just like, and now. So you go over there. You go over there. You have a heal check. You have to do this. So if you hold those blades out this way, and I was just like, oh, they would be so proud of me. I remember the blades.
That was fucking everybody up for the Monastery.
Well, it was really hard for me because there's so many heal checks in it, and people keep getting hit by shit that like I can't heal and look to dodge. What is it when the mechanics don't have a thingy?
Oh, they don't have a.
Yeah. My brain's.
I think because they didn't bring that back in Shadowbringers, because in the Monastery there's at least 3 points where there's a heal check, but there's also a hey, don't die check, where it's like you have to be healed, but also there's stuff actively trying to kill you. So
You haven't gone through the X-raids.
I'm not talking about the Savage and the EX. That is masochism on a whole new level.
They're really fun though.
Okay. Last thing before we get off of 14. They find ways to reuse old content, give you a reason to go back to old content. They're now bringing back the original EX trials and scaling them to your current level for the Unreal trials.
They're really hard. It's really hard.
The things that you thought you could handle, now that you're like, oh, I was level 50 then, I can handle that. I'm level 80 now. Not all.
Also, they changed some stuff. So there's like some mechanics where before tanks kind of cheated the mechanics and were able to just like eat it.
Yeah, we can't do that anymore.
You can't do that. It's been taking a lot of people to get used to. They're like, oh, we can eat this. And I'm like, there is literally no way you can eat this. I have every living thing on you, and you're using your cooldowns, and you still died. You can't eat it.
Yeah. When they say they scaled it.
No, they scaled it. And so they're like, no, you have to tank swap.
Yeah, when the game wants you to tank swap.
You have to tank swap.
So I'm really curious about Titan when they bring back Titan, because Titan doesn't work unless you swap at each phase.
You're going to have to swap at each phase.
But because so many people went through it buff, well, I don't want to say buff because it's still level synced, but you know, a level 70 level synced to 50 is stronger than a base level 50.
Right. So each dungeon, each raid, each trial, they all have level caps, which is what I was also saying Destiny should really do it. So like when you go into it, your stats will not go higher than that number. They just do not. Everything is scaled down to a very specific number. Now, and it's scaled to the maximum amount of gear that you could have had at that time. So it's all scaled. Like if a dungeon's at like eye level 140 and there was like eye level 200 gear that was like the best of the best out, that it would like cap at like 200. It does not go higher than that, regardless of the fact if you're level 80 or what your gear is. Like, it's got a very specific stat cap.
Right. So like you could at level 80, level cap down to 50, you can get away with things that a base 50 can't.
Right, because their
Once
gear isn't max gear for that level.
Once that gets brought back up to now the boss is level 80, nah, you have to treat it the way you would when it first came out.
Right.
With the serious that entails. I think making Shiva EX the first one is a good sort of wake-up call to the community. Like, oh no, you're not gonna be able to sleepwalk through it like you did before. You actually have to pay attention.
Right. You don't, no cheating.
Right.
You get nothing. Nothing.
You get nothing. And I know what you wanted to talk about next, but
You have to watch the baby.
indeed.
The baby needs to be clean. It's okay. We can talk about seasons 1 and 2 of Korra on our next recording, because I am because I'm literally running around in circles for literally hours gathering materials. I'm using this time to catch up on rewatching Korra. So I have opinions. Aaron and Justin have been seeing my opinions. I've been using them as a notepad. So be prepared for some funny jokes, because I got some. And that'll happen.
I will say this as a tease. Everybody not everybody. Most people mark season 2 of Korra as the worst season. It's terrible. It's bad.
What?
All right, this is my 3rd time rewatching season 2 of Korra.
It's amazing.
Y'all niggas tripping. Y'all. And I rewatching it, I get there is one specific thing that happens in season 2 of Korra that they don't like. And I'm like, y'all.
Does it have anything to do with her being a fucking teenager?
No, it has nothing to do with her intrinsically. It's something that happens to her that they blame her for happening.
You know what? No, never mind. Sexism.
I mean, sexism is a part of it, yeah. But
I don't really pay attention to people's bad opinions. So like, there's a lot about Korra I haven't heard. So basically, once people start saying Korra's terrible, I just start ignoring their opinion.
Korra is the perfect protagonist for this show, for what this show is trying to accomplish.
It's amazing. It's so perfect.
And we're going to talk about it next time.
Next time. You don't get to talk about it right now. So goodbye, Justin. Tell the baby I love him. Give him hugs. He's so cute.
Later.
Aaron.
Yes.
Do you have anything more?
I have been playing an arcade racer called Hot Shot Racing that they released today on Game Pass. It also came out today. It's clearly for a younger audience, but good God, it feels fun to play. That's all.
I like those games.
I love I listen because I go so hard in Destiny, and also, well, certain games are so involved. I love the opposite. I love a good arcade style game, and I miss an old arcade racer like Outrun. And yes, I miss
Outrun's a fucking classic.
I love that Daytona USA. I love arcade racing games. Yes, I love those games. So this is perfect. It was also just kind of sitting there. Game Pass, y'all. Do the thing. And
I'm not gonna lie, I have been playing Final Fantasy 14 this entire time.
Oh, well, you're always playing Final Fantasy 14 the entire time. The amount of episodes where you're playing Final Fantasy 14 has got to be, what, like 60, 70%?
No, actually, I don't play it that often while I'm
you're
recording,
playing video games. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I'm always playing video games.
Yes.
I don't sit well. I don't sit still very well.
I mean, there's no reason to. If you can chat and do a thing, keep your hands busy, then do it.
No, I'm literally just gathering. I'm just running around in this, like hopping across these giant floating separated islands, just gathering over and over and over again. It's the perfect task to do when I'm doing something else because it's so like it is completely and 100% mindless. I don't have to think about it at all.
Right.
It's so good. And I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this for 6 more days. Or if I'm going to do it for 6 more days, but I will at least get my new mounts.
Well, that's the point.
I now have a goat. It's like a little sheep goat mount, and of course I have a tiny Lalafell, and it is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh, I forgot to mention this. There's also, until the next like big patch 5.4 comes out.
Mm-hmm.
There is there's a event called it's with Yokai Watch, and so this is like the second time that they've had it out. So essentially, you get yokai minions. They have a minion for each class. It's super adorable, and each minion is from actually Yokai Watch.
Right.
And then they made weapons that match. And so you have to run and do public events to gather coins to trade in for weapons. To trade in for minions, and then you have to get you have to equip that minion, and then you get a special coin to get for the weapons. And if you collect all the weapons, you get a special mount from Yokai Watch. And it's so cute. It's this giant floating cat. And I have been I only have like 3 actual combat classes. I have like all the crafters and gatherers, but I've only got 3 combat classes. I'm kind of a lifer when it comes to games like this, where they're like, you can play whatever kind of class you want. And I'm like, I will heal. Just this one healer. I'm not going to make another healer or any other. I'm just going to have this one healer. And the fact that I have 2 damage dealing classes is actually an accomplishment for me. I have 3 classes that are all at max level. That is amazing. So it's just amazing. I'm going to try for 2 more, and then I'll be done, and I won't level another one ever again. But I've been matching my outfits with my weapons because each weapon is class specific. So like my scholar I try to match my scholar's outfit to my scholar weapon and the minion, and same with my ninja. And it's I think my machinist is my favorite because she looks like they look like a space hero, like if Buzz Lightyear were cool.
Right.
Right. Cool. I showed you, Aaron, right? So like, isn't that an accurate assessment?
Yes.
I did post it on Twitter. But yeah, so my machinist looks like if Buzz Lightyear was cool. It's really funny because like I'm pretty up to date on the content. At the same time, I feel like there's so much content I still haven't done in this new expansion, like in this new patch, and I'm just like, I have so much to do, and I have to decorate the house for October
because of Halloween.
Yeah, I have to decorate the house for Halloween.
Totally understand.
I'm literally going to be making coffins. And like, I'm like going to be crafting plants that look all weird and scary and stuff. And I'm going to try to make like an evil plant room. I've got ideas. I have to grow more black and red and purple flowers. These are all hard to do.
Well, you have the rest of the month and next month.
No, I have to start putting things together next month because I just like there's a Halloween essentially event that happens, and I want it to be set up before the event starts.
Oh, I see.
And then when people log on, even if they only log in to check their mail or whatever, or feed their chocobo. I want them to log in and walk up and see haunted FC house and smile and laugh at my ridiculousness. That's my goal. If I can make people feel happy at any point during this pandemic, then I'm okay.
No, that's valid. And the point of this program. If you want people to feel happy on Twitter, how would they find you? Bacon?
Sorry, I'm heavily medicated right now, and I literally forgot my own Twitter.
No, isn't it before C? Is it a bacon Mecha Baconzilla?
No, this one is Baconzilla, but with some numbers.
B4C0N ZILLA. That's
Yeah. So yeah, I've had my medication adjusted, and so and a new medication added to my cocktail. So now I'm taking like 100 milligrams of Wellbutrin in the morning, and then like 1,200 milligrams of lithium and 40 milligrams of citalopram in the evening.
okay.
And I'm like, I don't really have feelings right now.
I mean, that's good for grinding. So,
like, I don't really have feelings right now, and I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, what's happening?
Okay, well, you can find me at ANS Freeman.
He is not drugged.
I am undrugged. And you can follow the show at UN Fridays, like United Nation Fridays on Twitter. And yeah, thank you.
We're the cooler version of the United Nations.
Until they start storming our country trying to help us fix stuff, yes, United Nations is decidedly uncool.
Yeah, right now we're the United Negroes podcast.
Yes. And yeah.
United Negroes Federation.
I'm hanging up, guys. Have a pleasant day.